This morning, before the world asks anything of you, let yourself be here for a moment, not to perform, not to prove, not to catch up, just to arrive inside your own life the way you might step into a warm room and let your shoulders drop. There is a version of you that knows how to begin softly, and that soft beginning can still be strong. Today, you don't need a dramatic overhaul to feel clearer. You only need one honest breath of kindness and a willingness to start. You might notice how quickly the mind tries to sprint ahead. It reaches for the list, the messages, the unfinished pieces, the small worries dressed up as planning. That doesn't make you broken. It makes you human. Mornings can feel intense because the day is still unformed, and your mind wants safety, certainty, control. But safety doesn't have to come from squeezing the day tighter. It can come from holding yourself more gently. So let's begin in a simple way. Let the bed beneath you, the floor beneath you, the air around you, remind you that you are supported. Feel one point of contact, your feet, your hands, your back, your pillow. No need to do it perfectly. Just notice one real sensation, as if you're touching the present moment with an open palm. And as you notice, let your inner voice soften by 1 degree. Here is the compassionate truth. If mornings feel sharp, it often means you've been carrying a lot, quietly. Maybe you've been trying to be dependable, capable, agreeable, strong. Maybe you've been managing other people's needs alongside your own. Maybe you've been living with a constant low-level urgency that you rarely name. When the alarm rings, all of that can rush forward at once, like a crowd at the door. So we're not going to fight the crowd. We're going to open a different door. The first doorway is permission. Permission to be Egan softly. Permission to be a person, not a machine. Permission to start the day without punishing yourself for being alive. My dear, you do not have to earn gentleness. You are allowed to meet yourself with respect right now, even if you don't feel ready yet. Let this be a truth line you carry today. You can move through your day without pushing against yourself. When you notice the inner shove, the internal command that says hurry, fix, do more, be better, pause and choose a kinder sentence. Instead of I have to rush, try, I will take one steady step. Instead of I'm already behind, try I'm here and I can begin. The day will still have its responsibilities, but you will meet them with more of you intact. And here is a small affirmation to lay down like a clean cloth. Today, I meet myself with respect. Today, I begin with ease. You can let those words sit in you without forcing belief. You're not trying to convince yourself of something unreal. You're offering yourself a direction, like turning your face toward the sun. Before we go further, make a vow so simple it can fit into any morning. Say it quietly inside in your own way. I will not abandon me this morning, not in my thoughts, not in my tone, not in the way I speak to myself when things feel messy. I will not abandon me this morning. Let that vow be your first act of loyalty. Now, the second doorway is clarity. and clarity often begins by choosing fewer thoughts. Your mind may want to hold 10 things at once, but your heart does better with one steady thread. So today, you choose one thought that your whole morning can lean on. One thought that feels true enough to repeat without strain. Here is a truth line for this chapter. One calm thought is stronger than 100 noisy ones. A calm thought doesn't have to be fancy. It can be plain, almost ordinary. Something like, I can handle this step by step. Or, I will do what matters and release what doesn't. Or, I choose peace in the middle of my day. Choose one that feels like it has space in it. When the mind tries to scatter, you return to your one thought the way you return to the sound of your own name. Not as a scolding, but as a homecoming. You don't have to argue with every worry. You don't have to solve the whole day before breakfast. You simply come back to the steady sentence you chose, and you let it guide the next small action. Here's a micro affirmation to tuck into your morning. I choose one clear thought and I let it guide me. I choose one clear thought and I let it guide me. Notice how it feels to simplify. As if you're setting down bags you forgot you were carrying. Let's anchor this with a gentle question. Not a test, not a demand. Just a quiet curiosity. Which part of you is asking for steadiness today? Is it your body asking for a slower pace? Is it your mind asking for fewer decisions at once? Is it your heart asking for reassurance? You don't have to answer perfectly. You only have to listen kindly. The third doorway is self-approval in the spirit of gentle teachings like Louise Hay, without pretending to be anyone else. Self-approval is not a performance. It is a daily choice to stop bullying yourself into being lovable. It is a willingness to stand on your own side. And when you do, the day feels less like a battlefield. Here is the truth line. Approval is a form of inner safety. When you approve of yourself, even a little, you stop treating every mistake as a threat. You stop treating every delay as proof you are failing. You begin to feel safe enough to breathe. So offer yourself a simple yes. If it helps, you can look at your reflection sometime today, even briefly, and let your eyes soften. You don't have to do anything dramatic. You can simply practice a friendly gaze, and you can say, I'm with you. That's it. A small statement that changes the climate inside. Let this be your inner shift from I'm behind to I'm here and I'm willing. From I should be better to I am learning and I can be kind while I learn. From I don't have what it takes to I have what I need for this moment. And here is an affirmation you can borrow, even if it feels tender. I love and accept myself as I am in this moment. I love and accept myself as I am in this moment. Now a brief micro recap to keep your attention gently anchored. So far, you have given yourself permission to begin softly. You have chosen one steady thought, and you have practiced self-approval as inner safety. Nothing complicated, just 3 small returns to yourself. The fourth doorway is your relationship with time. Time can feel like an enemy in the morning. It can feel like a judge tapping a foot. But time is also something you can be in partnership with. You can guide your time instead of wrestling it, and that change alone can make you feel more ready. Here is the truth line. Calm is a way of organizing your energy. Calm does not mean you have no responsibilities. It means you place your attention where it belongs instead of scattering it in panic. So this morning, you practice time softness, not laziness. Softness, the kind that makes room for clarity. Try this inner shift. Trade. There isn't enough time for I can do what matters first. Trade. I'm late and ruined for I'm adjusting and I'm still okay. Trade. Everything must happen now for one thing, then the next. Time responds well to focus. Your spirit responds well to gentleness. And here are two lines you can carry like a quiet chorus. I am allowed to start again, right now. I am allowed to begin gently and still be powerful. Let those lines be true even on mornings that are messy, especially on those mornings. Here's another. A small affirmation, simple and steady. I have time for what is mine to do today. I have time for what is mine to do today. Notice the difference between forcing time and guiding it. Guiding has breath in it. Forcing has fear in it. You're learning to choose the breath. Now the fifth doorway is a tiny ritual, something reliable, something real. Not a complicated routine that collapses the first busy day. A tiny sequence you can repeat even when you're tired, even when the morning isn't ideal, even when you have only a minute. Think of it like tuning a radio. One careful adjustment and the signal becomes clearer. Your life is still your life. The day still has noise, but your inner station comes through with more steadiness. So here is your small ritual, a breath of attention, a sentence of love, one clear next step. A breath of attention means you notice one sensation again, just for a moment. A sentence of love means you offer yourself a kind phrase the way you would to someone you care about. And one clear next step means you choose the next simple action, not the whole day. Drink water, wash your face, open the curtain. Write one line in a notebook. Send one necessary message. You choose something doable. You choose something kind. Here is the truth line for this chapter. Small rituals make big days feel possible. And the inner shift is this. From perfect routine to reliable return, you're not trying to be perfect at caring for yourself. You're practicing coming back again and again without shame. So let an affirmation rise here, gentle and grounding. I return to myself and I return to peace. I return to myself and I return to peace. You can let it be a whisper in the background as you move through your morning. Let me tell you a short story, because sometimes the heart learns best through a simple example. Maya used to wake up already bracing. She would reach for her phone, see one message she didn't like, and her whole morning would tighten. One day, she decided to try something smaller than fixing her life. She decided to change the first 60 seconds. She put her hand on her chest when she woke, and she said, "I'm here." Then she chose one thought, one step. She didn't become a different person overnight, but she noticed something. When she began with that small loyalty to herself, her day felt less hostile. Even on hard mornings, she carried a thread of steadiness she could return to, and that thread mattered. There is something else that often steals clarity in the morning, the need to be fine. You might be carrying a habit of tightening your face, tightening your voice, tightening your expectations, as if softness will invite chaos. But softness does not invite chaos. Softness invites truth. And truth is where your real steadiness lives. So if you wake with a heavy feeling and you don't know why, you don't need to interrogate it. You can simply acknowledge it. Something in me feels heavy. That's honest. Then you can add a gentle reassurance. And I can carry it with care today. You're not making it bigger. You're not making it wrong. You're making space. Sometimes the mind wants a reason before it will allow compassion. It wants to say, I'll be kind to myself after I solve the feeling. But kindness can come first. Kindness can be the way you solve it, or the way you live alongside it while it changes on its own. You are allowed to be kind before you understand everything. If your morning includes other people, you can still keep this practice. Even if the house is noisy, even if someone needs you, even if you have to move quickly, your inner sentence can remain soft. Your one thought can remain steady. Your vow can remain true. You can be in motion and still be with yourself. And if you live alone, the practice matters just as much. Because being alone is not the same as being held. So you become your own holding. You become the voice that says, "Good morning, I'm here." You become the steady hand on the shoulder of your own life. That kind of self-relationship is quietly life-changing over time. Here's a small metaphor to help you remember. Think of your attention like a lantern. When you swing it wildly, every shadow looks threatening. When you hold it steadily, you can see what's actually there. This morning, practice is not about making shadows disappear. It's about holding your lantern steady. So when your mind says there's too much, you don't have to argue. You can simply steady the lantern. You can say, right now, I am choosing one thing, and you choose it. The next breath, the next sip of water, the next sentence of love, the next right step. Another way to describe this is simple. You are setting the tone, not for the whole week, not for the whole life, just for the next stretch of time. A tone is not a demand, it's a direction, and you can change directions gently as you go. If you want, you can think of your morning as a small homecoming, a return to yourself before you go out into the world. You don't have to arrive at perfect peace. You simply arrive. You step inside. You close the door for a moment on the noise of expectations, and you remember, I live here, I belong here. When you practice belonging to yourself, you become harder to rush. Not because you move slowly, but because you stop treating your worth like it's on trial. You stop making your morning a courtroom. You stop cross-examining your feelings. You stop prosecuting yourself for being tired, sensitive, imperfect. Instead, you become a friend to the life you're living. And friends speak differently. They don't say, "What's wrong with you?" They say, "What do you need?" They don't say, "Hurry up and fix it." They say, "Let's take it one step at a time." They don't say, "You're failing." They say, "You're trying, and I'm proud of you." So if you catch yourself being harsh, you can gently interrupt it, not with a fight, with a pivot, with a softer sentence. You can say, "That's not how I speak to someone I love," and then you choose again. This practice is especially helpful on the mornings you would normally give up on yourself, the mornings when you overslept, the mornings when you feel dull, the mornings when the day starts with bad news. Those are the mornings when one kind sentence can be a lifeline, not a dramatic one, a quiet one, a steady one. You don't have to wait for the perfect morning to practice this. You practice on the ordinary mornings. You practice on the imperfect mornings. You practice on the mornings that feel like a test, because the practice is not about controlling life. It's about choosing how you meet it. And here's a final gentle question to carry with you. Where can I make this morning 5% kinder? Not 50%, not perfect, just 5%. A kinder tone, a kinder pace, a kinder choice. 5% is small enough to be real, and real change often begins there. You can be like Maya in this way, without copying her life. You can choose your own first 60 seconds. You can choose your own one thought. You can choose your own small act of kindness. That's the point. This practice isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more faithfully you. Another micro recap just to keep the ground under your feet. Soft beginning. One steady thought. Self-approval. Time. Softness. Tiny ritual. That is the whole practice. Simple enough to remember, gentle enough to repeat. Now let's talk about being ready. Many people think ready means rigid. Ready means flawless. Ready means in control. But ready can mean something else. Ready can mean connected. Ready can mean present. Ready can mean you trust yourself to respond, even if the day surprises you. So if you feel a little shaky this morning, you don't have to label that as failure. You can call it honesty. You can call it sensitivity. You can call it being human. And you can still be ready. Because readiness is not the absence of feeling. It is the presence of self-support. If your mind tries to pull you into old patterns, meet it with kindness. You can say, "Thank you for trying to protect me." And then you can choose your one thought again. You can return to your vow. You can soften time. You can do your tiny ritual. Every return is a victory in a quiet language your life understands. Some mornings, the hardest part is not the schedule. It's the feeling that you must hold everything together alone. If that's you, sweet one, let yourself hear this. You were never meant to carry the day with clenched hands. You can hold your life with open hands. Open hands can still be responsible. Open hands can still follow through. They just don't punish you for being imperfect. There is another gentle shift that often brings clarity, releasing the need to start the day as a finished version of yourself. You don't wake up fully assembled. You wake up becoming. So instead of asking, "Am I ready for everything?" try asking, "What is the most loving way to meet the first thing?" This keeps you close to reality, and it keeps you close to your own tenderness. When the mind says, "I should be further along," remember that mornings are not a report card. They are a doorway, and doorways are meant to be crossed one step at a time. If you feel behind, it may simply mean you are measuring yourself with a ruler that doesn't belong to you. So you can put that ruler down. You can choose a different measure. Presence. You can choose devotion to what is right in front of you. Here is a small truth line for the moments you start comparing your inside to someone else's outside. You are not late to your life. You are here, and being here is enough to begin. Let that land softly, not as a slogan, but as a relief. You may also notice a quiet voice that tries to control the day by rehearsing everything that could go wrong. That voice is not your enemy. It is a part of you that learned vigilance, so you can speak to it with respect. You can say, "Thank you for watching out for me." And you can add, "Today you can rest a little. I'm here with us." This is self-support. This is inner leadership without harshness. Sometimes, readiness is simply the decision to stop arguing with the moment you're in. You don't have to like every part of the morning. You don't have to feel cheerful. You only have to stop turning your feelings into a reason to attack yourself. Feelings can be present, and you can still choose gentleness. That is real power. If you want a tiny practice to pair with your one steady thought, try a first kind sentence. It's the first sentence you offer yourself that is not a critique, not a review, not a warning. A kind sentence. For example, "Good morning, my love," or "We're going to take care of this together," or "I'm proud of you for showing up." You can choose your words. Your tone matters more than the exact phrase. And if you're not ready for sweetness, choose something neutral and respectful. "Hello, I'm here. This is my morning." Respect is a form of love too. Sometimes it's the first kind of love you can reach. Here is an affirmation for the days you feel tender. I speak to myself with kindness, and my mind becomes a safer place. You can repeat it once, or you can carry it like a background hum. Now let's invite a little gratitude, not as a demand to be positive, but as a way to notice what is still holding you. Gratitude can be very small. It can be as simple as, Thank you for this breath. Thank you for the light. Thank you for one more chance to begin. You're not denying the hard things. You're just widening the frame enough to include something steady. In the spirit of gentle morning teachings, you can bless ordinary things: your bed, your cup, your hands, your ability to choose again. A blessing is not a magical guarantee. It's a way of turning toward life with warmth instead of suspicion. And warmth makes clarity easier to access. If the day ahead feels crowded, try this inner boundary. I will do one thing at a time, and I will not shame myself for being human. That boundary protects your attention. It protects your heart. It creates space where calm can actually live. There may also be a part of you that worries, if I don't push myself, I'll fall apart. But pushing is not the only way to move. Gentleness can move you too. Gentleness can be steady. Gentleness can be committed. It can be the kind of strength that lasts. So if you notice that old habit of motivating yourself with pressure, try motivating yourself with care. Instead of I have to, try I choose to. Instead of don't mess this up, try I can learn as I go. Instead of there's no room for mistakes, try there is room for breath. These are not fantasies. They are options, and options are freedom. Here's a 2-line moment to keep close when you feel the urge to force the day. I can be devoted without being harsh. I can be disciplined without being unkind. Let those lines remind you that you don't have to sacrifice yourself to be effective. And if you find yourself spiraling into the future, return to the simplest thing, the next right step, not the perfect step, not the step that proves something, just the next right step. Clarity is often built that way, like stones placed one at a time across a stream. Some days, the next right step is very practical. Answer one message. Make one plan. Put on clothes that feel comfortable. Some days, the next right step is emotional. Forgive yourself for yesterday. Stop rehearsing a conversation that hasn't happened. Let yourself be a little softer with your own heart. Either way, it counts. As you practice this, you may notice something subtle. Your morning starts to feel less like a race and more like a relationship. A relationship with your own mind. A relationship with your own time. A relationship with your own worth. And relationships grow through consistent care, not grand speeches. So if you only remember one thing from this practice, let it be this: you can return. You can return to your vow. You can return to your one thought. You can return to self-approval. You can return to time's softness. You can return to your tiny ritual. Returning is not failure. Returning is devotion. And because the world can be loud, let your inner world become a sanctuary. Not a place where nothing difficult ever happens, but a place where you are not treated like an enemy. A place where your mistakes are met with guidance. a place where your feelings are met with dignity, a place where you are allowed to be real. If you like, choose one final affirmation to carry into the day like a warm stone in your pocket. I am worthy of a gentle life, and I create it one moment at a time. You don't have to hurry. One moment at a time is enough. Before we close, let's gather everything into one simple pocket-sized remembrance. You don't need to hold all the language. You don't need to remember every line. You only need the feeling of the practice, a soft beginning, a steady thought, a yes to yourself, a gentler relationship with time, a tiny ritual you can return to. That's the whole path. If you miss a morning, you haven't failed. You're not starting over from zero. You're simply returning, like coming back to a familiar room. And each time you return, you strengthen a new habit of care. Over time, that habit can become a quiet backbone. Not rigid, not perfect, just dependable. So be patient with yourself today. Let the practice be human-sized. Let it fit into your actual life. Let it meet you where you are, not where you think you should be. And when you notice even a small moment of clarity, honor it. That moment is proof that you can come home to yourself. Let's weave in a few affirmations like gentle stepping stones, ones you can keep close today. I am safe to be present. I am allowed to take up space in my own life. I choose peace over pressure. I trust myself to take the next right step. I give myself permission to begin again. I meet this day with a calm heart and a clear mind. You don't have to force these. Let them be invitations. And if you want one more truth line to carry like a small charm, take this. The way you speak to yourself in the morning becomes the weather of your day. You don't control every storm, but you can choose the climate inside. You can be a gentle place for yourself to live. So as you move into the next hour, keep it simple. Choose your one thought. Take one steady step. Offer yourself approval. Guide your time with softness. Return to your tiny ritual whenever you need. This is how mornings become kinder, not through perfection, but through practice. If your thoughts feel loud later today, you can touch this practice again in a single breath. Soften your jaw, relax your eyes, and return to your one steady sentence. Let that be enough. You're not required to stay perfectly calm. You're only invited to keep choosing kindness, one small moment at a time. Even a brief return can change the next 10 minutes. May you feel clear enough to know what matters. May you feel calm enough to meet what comes. May you feel ready in the truest way, rooted in yourself, not rushed by fear. And if the day gets loud, remember you can come back, even for a moment. You can always come back to you.